I would like to cut short. I do not want to really go. The title is Religion, Caste and Globalization of Linked Reality, Absence of Political and Liberational Themes in Dalit Theology. Christy was talking about, yes, if you look at Karl Marx, he said that yes, as the society progresses, religion would automatically, because he completely relied on material fundamentals, economic determinants. So, for Karl Marx, materiality is the reality. But, as Christy pointed out, Max tackles, Max Weber, Emily Durkheim and others, no. You cannot really premise everything on economic determinism. It's much more than that. Every human has a spirit and religion plays it in. But if you look at now, religion, does it really contribute to the humanity or to the betterment of humanity? So if you look at all the problems that really being faced by humanity is very much propelled by religion. The world, everything revolves around religion. Therefore, religion has become the most contesting point in our part of Germany. So completely religion is twisted in such ways that suits the powers and principalities that we have. And I did not talk about caste, even Christy and others, and a lot of reference I made bringing Ambedkar to the fore. Caste is another nasty thing, which is the basic premise that really runs the whole society per se. So, we have heard Dr. David talking to us. He also made a reference to Prakash Ambedkar, who is the grandson of Ambedkar, and I did some amount of research on Pandita Ayodhya. When I had a kind of a discussion with UTC students and others, most of them did not know who was Pandita Ayodhya. He was the forerunner of B.R. Ambedkar, and how John the Baptist happened to be the forerunner for Jesus Christ. So such a person, for us, it's a good privilege you are with us at this crucial part of it. Therefore, and then globalization. Whether it is globalization or deglobalization, both the forces of globalization and the forces of deglobalization have not helped the Dalits at all. It has further pushed the casteist forces to gain the fruits of globalization or deglobalization. So let me move on to the core of my paper. I somehow is not happy with the Dalit theology. When we had a meeting in 2019, before COVID hit so heavily on us, I said that you call me to nail the coffin of Dalit theology. I would come and coffin. That was my last paper. Then afterwards, now I am standing. Because Dalit theology, whether they met recently or they have been meeting, have not taken politics more seriously. See, contrarian views on caste-based census and quotas are on the center stage that have taken the political parties and political movements of various shades and ideologies to other levels. BJP has expanded the quotas by legislating in the parliament, which has duly been legalized based on income and education. So, you look at the argument, even it went to the Supreme Court. They say that there are castes in a class, there are classes in a caste. So, why do you really talk about only the caste-based inequality? Talk about the inequality of other castes also, who are economically backward. So this move would certainly impinge SC reservation that the Dalits have been enjoying for decades. From different quarters, a question is being raised: how long should SCs be protected under reservation? They even invoke B.R. Ambedkar, who stipulated just a decade. If this is the reality, why should this provision to continue? Those who are against SC reservation and those who argue for caste-based census say that reservation has helped only the creamy layers of SCs. And so we need to know whichever community needs assistance of the government of the day should engage in proactive measures to those who suffer economically. And even if I were to ask Prasad, yes, do you agree with the caste census? His answer, I don't know, would be yes. Because within the subcaste, there are layers. You need to peel the layers. Take the Malas and Madigas, Pallam Parayar, Arundathiyas, and down the subcaste categories. You see, there are layers within the larger chunk of a bigger monolith layer. Therefore, when would they benefit? You take all the bishops in CSI, and most of them, you take any part of India, the top creamy layers seem to have really become the top-notch leaders of the church as well as in the society. How about the others? Therefore, we need to peel the layer within the Dalits that most of us have, as your demythologized, demystified Azariah. I would like to say that, yes, we need to really peel the layer. Where we need is care to peeling the layers, we need to peel. Therefore, Dalit theology need not be one Dalit theology. As you keep peeling the layers, there will be more theologies emerging. So why not more theologies emerging? Therefore, those who are against this one, so there is a debate going on the whole reservation and some of these fixations. Therefore, and people say that, yes, economically deprived section, though they belong to the upper caste, need to be taken into consideration because they are really bringing in the whole notion of social justice on par of those who are being socially deprived all through these centuries. So we need to really articulate these things. A clear wedge that has now surfaced that reflects not just social but economic. And so economic equality should precede social equality and certainly not vice versa. This argument has totally pushed aside those who have been discriminated for centuries due to caste may be given subsidies or be part of proactive programs of the governments of the day. So get involved in proactive programs or give some incentives and keep moving on. This move has demolished the arguments put forth by B.R. Ambedkar, who advocated that social justice that ought to take precedence of economic justice, arguing for social equilibria which precedes over economic equilibria. So the social inequality perpetuated by caste could be met and thus be altered. A clever ploy on the part of Hindutva Bogi, subverting social equality and justice. Then you move on. Then more importantly, Indian Christians and Dalit Christians are considered only as part of the vote bank politics. And whether it is Congress or BJP or whatever party, it does not want votes from Christians, especially BJP. Moreover, when it comes to conversion, RSS, BJP and its outfits are out and out engaged in spewing venom and hatred against Indian Christians. So this all of you know about. So in this political landscape, Dalit theology should take the changing contours more seriously. This is what I would like to really insist. the change in contours need to be taken by the Dalit theology. Take the Dalit theology per se. Same old churning keep going on. You keep critiquing A.P. Nirmal in his own way. Okay, A.P. Nirmal in his own time gave a kind of a theology. For all of us to really move on as the time keeps changing. Therefore, we have not moved on. After 1990s, the Dalit theology have not moved on at all because it has not really hit the major constituency to which Dalit theology is all about. It has not touched at all. They continue to remain there and their whole socio-economic conditions continue to be the same or may have become much worse. But we keep talking about Dalit theology. A theology that really doesn't touch the lives of the people is not here theology at all. How can we really talk about theology? Because the word, theos, logos, are two important things need to really touch the flesh and blood of a community. So, Dalit theology or theology has failed to take political economy and socio-cultural imperatives in its own stride. Because culture is very important. So the cultural dimension and cultural counterculture has not been taken at all by this one. The onslaught is clearly coming by RSS and other VHP and other Hindutva outfits, whereas we have not taken the culture more seriously. So we, the Dalit theology, need to take this cultural dimension. Has Dalit theology translated the innate hopes and flaming aspirations of the Dalit congregations in the immanence and transcendence. The immanence and the transcendence. We keep talking about spirituality, we keep talking about the transcendence. It is for me the transcendence is when you throw a baby with that confidence, with that laugh, with it really descends, saying that the one who throws the baby will continue to really hold the baby on. That type of dynamic between the immanence and transcendence, it doesn't really, has not been articulated very clearly in Dalit theology. We need to really talk about what is that immanence and what is the transcendence, how this whole process can be worked out, what is the methodological mediation that really brings a kind of a oneness, a kind of a dialectic between immanence and transcendence that we need to work out. So notably, Dalit theology seems to have primarily preoccupied, revolving and repeating the same old materials and all at times made a few peripheral twists and turns in its theological frames and tenor. Within an academic framework, Dalit theology or theologies revolving around a few concepts, methods and theories that may satisfy a few or fulfill part of the academic requirement, but certainly not those who are waiting with hope for liberation, freedom from caste captivity. Therefore, friends, I would like to really reinstate that liberation theology has failed. It completely gave. See, a theology will have to be premised on hope. Without hope, there is no theology. You take any theology, anything, that should be hope. So people are waiting. The oppressed community are waiting. Even in the liberation theology in South America, yes, beautiful liberation theologians have really brought Marxism and social analysis and culture, economy together, and also brought Bible in such a way that people were waiting and waiting. Globalization came. The forces of globalization swept everything, and you see, a small chunk of the people really were lifted up, and others were completely doomed. And now we do not know. Even the same thing is happening with Minjung. Minjung is almost dead 20 years ago. Oh, that is what is happening in Dalit theology. Therefore, that should be a hope to the congregation, to the Christians, and to the people with whom we work. If there is no, we can spiritualize. How can you spiritualize the material? That is the question. Can you spiritualize the material? Material is material. If I feel hungry, you take few verses, Nehemiah will come, take beautiful verses from the scripture, go pray to our don't worry, this one. Spiritualizing hunger will not anymore be tolerant. Hunger is hunger, it's physical. You cannot spiritualize. Therefore, we need to really bring that spirituality and the materiality and work in such a way, there should be a kind of some sign of development even in the economic sphere. Therefore, spirituality is very important, but we cannot shun the materiality to that. Therefore, Dalit theology as a certain concept. So Dalit theology per se should have enjoyed the mortal body and immortal spirit of the Dalits in its articulation, leading to realize its fruition here and now. So it should have enjoyed the mortal body and immortal spirit of the Dalits in its articulation, leading to realize its fruition here and now. Here and now, important. Oh no. When you die, you will go somewhere. There won't be any hunger. You will be enjoying. There won't be, everything is fine. Everything is fine. So, it's a long way. What do you want to say now, here and now? You are telling after my death. You are telling after my life, this is the thing. Those who are blessed, we give all sorts of spiritual energy. That need to be. Therefore, Dalit theology in its essence and orientation involves praxis. And so the context is the locus and a priori. Praxis as the process enables translating or put it precisely what the Dalits believe and hope in concrete settings. If this is so, a question arises. Has there been any shifts in Dalit theology or theologies? What I mean is that as the political landscape keeps shifting at alarming levels, the usage of shift here does basically mean the context. The context becomes the locus from where Dalit theology takes its material for analysis and interpretation. The interplay and dynamics of forces of oppression, social, religious, cultural, economic and political that are at play would have to respond and be counted. The social context on the basis and acts as part of Dalit's collective consciousness. We will be talking about Dalit's collective consciousness. Their locales are filled with human experience, enjoined in hope, rooted in faith, with a belief that Jesus Christ is the Savior and Redeemer. In such a scenario, contextualization is an inherent dynamic of critical praxis. So, a critical theology is rooted in concrete Dalit experience. Over and above, a critical theology embarks by removing the theological blinkers so that the raw brutalized body and traumatized mind of the Dalits can be seen articulating their faith in God enmeshed with pragmatic action. That is what he did. That is what he did. The brutalized body. So he removed the theological blinkers and he was really handling with the brutalized body and traumatized minds of the Dalits. So he articulated his faith in pragmatic action. In such a context, a critical theology of the Dalits emerged, articulating the raw and rugged cumulative experience of the soiled hands and crushed feet of divisions of labor. So Karl Marx spoke about division of labor, but whereas Ambedkar gave a beautiful analysis, divisions of labor. Therefore, unless and until we soil our hands and our feet, we cannot talk about the labor of the Dalits. A glaring example is manual scavenging continues and people die even now in cesspools. Only in such specificities, the context provides the required language and basic materials for theologies. Friends, materials for the Dalits don't look into the libraries, no. You will have to go to the context and see the materials. As you dig, it's like peeling the onion. As you peel the onions, you see more and more raw materials, such as shit and other things come. These are the materials we need to use. Do not use all kinds of sophisticated methodological tools and materials for your theology. That will not work. You will have to see the brutalized body and the soiled hands and feet. You need to. This is where the thing, unless and until, this is where I like this man. I like this man. He was always into the context. And the way he spoke, the theology keeps pouring, keeps developing. keep emerging. This is how it works. So it's regarded. So only in such specificities the context provides the required language and basic materials for theologians. It is the rough flesh and blood that acts as the base material for Dalit theology. In this case, Dalit theology is a radical critique of classical. I do not want to really mix with the Indian Christian theology with Dalit theology. Please don't try to do this. You look at those who promoted Indian Christian theology, and Indian Christian theology happens to be the core course in the theological institution, whereas Dalit theology has become a kind of an optional course. This is how it does. And look at Indian Christian theology, it's completely Brahmanized, Sanskritized theology. Still we continue to, and they never even confess. These are the theologians who never even confess Jesus Christ as the Savior, and you continue with this. So I do not know, a lot of contradiction even in our theological academics. Whereas Christie has high regard for this, these academic centers.
You were student?
No. Unfortunately, I left. He is partly. Yes. Therefore, only in such a context provides the required language and basic materials for theologians. So, Dalit theology is a radical critique of this one. Therefore, you will have to really make a radical critique. You take any theologies, even if it is black theology emerged as it started critiquing the white racist society. Therefore, theologies of Dalits emerges from this intersubjective world of Dalits. Their experience is mediated by a language that they speak, which should be the language of the theologies of Dalit. No, that's okay. Therefore, I think this is a language. Now we have started speaking very sophisticated language. Speak the language of Malcolm X and others. I think Nehemiah knows Malcolm. Such a raw language. Yes. So Dalit theology, in its methods and materials, has seldom given importance to political and economic aspects. More primacy and clarity be provided to liberational motives. So what is the liberational motive in Dalit theology as of now? When inequality and inequities keep widening between Dalit communities and others, what then is the way out? Apparently, the creamy layers within the subcaste categories have appropriated the resources, whereas other down the rungs remain the same, out of which many have gone down further. A theology that speaks about God's intervention in the lives of people should show in concrete terms, without which it remains an armchair theology or just remains cerebral or an academic exercise. Since there is an absence of liberational tinge, we find gaps and holes. Though Dalit theology or theologies have taken into account social, religious, cultural dimension, there is a need that the political economy will have to be given importance. So the original and the given in Dalit context is the situation, the history, the struggles, the aspirations, the fears and the hopes. God is dynamically present in these. He is saving grace in all these. Out of these encounters has emerged the critical theology of Dalit. In such a dynamic, the dimensions of creation and redemption come into play as twofold dialectic. Understood in this way, the principle of hope claims its validity and relevancy. A theological principle of survivability against all odds is the core of Dalit theology. It's amazing. All the time I keep asking, what makes you to live on? They live in the locales which is so hostile, so horrendous, and in such a locale they live. What makes you to live? In such a situation, if we were forced to live, we would have committed suicide, but yet we live. What is that? It is a survivability against all odds, which is the hope, and it's a determination to survive that really makes Dalits to live. The critical theology of Dalits have reached a new phase in history that requires faith articulation. I think young theologians like Nehemiah will have to really bring these things in. That faith is responded on God as a liberator, the way and the life for freedom and emancipation, since God being the prime mover of liberation. As Dalit Christians, the implications of living in such dangerous terrains should be affirmed with all theological confidence that that striving for new heaven and new earth. Jesus' incarnation as human in flesh and blood, who confessed to be the Christ, something historically happened. It is in the birth of new humanity, in which everyone, without any distinction and device, living in harmony with self-esteem, human dignity, and mutual respect. And this new humanity shall strive for realizing and establishing a new humane and just order, reflecting God's righteousness and caste society. His aim is to establish wholeness devoid from narrow, parochial, divisionary, and nefarious tendencies. Friends, before I close, we need to enter into critical theory of caste, casteism, and anti-caste. For example, this morning, before leaving, I was viewing the BBC news. 5 black Afro-Americans killed Afro-American. Brutal. They didn't want to show. They didn't want to show the clippings because it was so horrendous. 5 black police officers killing another teenager, black man, who was speeding or something, caught him, killed in ruthless. Does it amount to racism? If a black kills another black, does it amount to racism? If a Dalit kills another Dalit, it's not caste killing. Therefore, if you look at the critical caste theory, what I started developing, casteism. Even if I tell Nehemiah, this fellow is a useless Dalit, that itself is casteism. That itself is caste. Look at this Madigas, useless. Look at this Arundhatis, useless. That itself is casteism. Therefore, we have to be more cautious. So here, 4-5 black officers, police officers killing a black youth. It's not racism, it is racism. Because the racism is so systematically working on, it has been indoctrinated into the psyche of the black. The same thing, that these 4 fellows reflected the white racism in the United States. That's all. It amounts to racism. How can he kill? They kill. Therefore, the critical race theory is also talking about racism and racist overthrow. We need to really expand on that. Therefore, there are castes in a class, and in a class there are castes. Therefore, how do we really look at some of these things and start using these things even in our analysis? So with this, let me close. Therefore, let us be quite open whether it is our own theory, how can we really talk? Yes, if I discriminate, Nehemiah, it's again discrimination. It is again discrimination against another Dalit. No, it's okay. No. If Mala discriminated Madhika, it is again discrimination. It is again caste discrimination within the subcaste. It is caste discrimination. Therefore, we need to employ this critical theory of caste. Thank you.